right. Hope you all are doing well. Today we're going to work on a memory diagram that's teaching us a little bit about how dictionaries work and what they print out. So, just as a reminder, memory diagrams' whole purpose is to teach us how to read like a computer. So computers read top to bottom, and they read left to right, and they also read inside. So before we can print what's inside of this print function, we first have to evaluate this. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we're doing is we're instantiating a dictionary. We know this because we have this variable name. We've declared the type as a dictionary where the keys are strings and the values associated with those keys are going to be a list of strings. And then we know we're instantiating it because we have this dictionary literal. This essentially just creates an empty dictionary. So in a memory diagram, we're in globals. So we're going to create a little slot in globals, store a little pointer to where the dictionary is stored in the heap. So over in the heap, I'm going to give an ID to our dictionary object in the heap. We're going to declare its type as a dictionary of strings, a list of strings. Ah, and because it's an empty dictionary, nothing else goes below. And then finally, we need to tie this back to our stack so that we can actually reference it later. So we use our ID to do so. Cool. Next thing we do is move on to the next line. Next line is creating a key value pair. So we use this syntax dictionary name, and then inside the brackets we have our key, and then we're assigning to it this list over here that will be the value associated with this key. So so we come over to the heap, and key is going to be string 2017. Now we can't really fit a list inside of this value slot, right? It's like we can't fit this dictionary inside of the stack. So we actually have to create a separate list object over in the heap that'll be referenced inside of this dictionary. So over in the heap, we're going to create a list. We're going to give it an ID of the next available ID, which is 1, and it's going to be a list of strings. We know it's a list of strings for two reasons. First, it's a list, right? And every single item in it, strings. We know that because of these quotes, but also because we're adding it to our starting dictionary, and our starting dictionary's values are a list of strings. And then we just go ahead and populate it with the values of that list. So we have 3 entries right now, 1, 0, 1, 2. And then yeah, we have Barry, Meeks, and we have and then we tie it back to our dictionary with the ID. So over here, I'll put ID 1. Great. Done with that line. Moving on to the next one. Next one is doing the exact same thing as line 2 did, but it's adding another key value pair. So again, we're going to come over to starting, takes us to this dictionary near the ID, and then we add our next key value pair. have 2023 is our next key. And then we're going to create another dictionary. Excuse me, another list, and we're going to populate it with love, Beckett, and black. Available ID is ID2, and it's a list of strings. And we're going to put in love. That's how you pronounce it, Beckett, asset, and black. And then finally, gotta tie it back to our dictionary with that ID, ID2 is here. We created this dictionary on line 1, and then we added key value pairs to it on lines 2, 3. All right, now we're asked to print out dictionary. Excuse me, we're asked to print out a value here, right? Now the value, I, I I like to think of understanding what value I'm supposed to be printing out by comparing this to be like a little roadmap, some directions, right? We're going to the starting dictionary, so that takes us here, right? When I see starting, I'm like, cool, starting's right here. What's the value stored there? Well, it's a pointer to this dictionary. So starting refers to this dictionary. This is like our street, right? And then where are we going? Well, we're going to this house. So we're going from the street starting to 2017 house, and we're accessing the person inside of there. Well, the person inside of there is this list, right? This whole thing takes us to this list, which takes us here. So just in these first two concepts, starting in 2017, we've made our way to this list. And then we're asked to access value stored at index 2, which is Jackson. So one more time, starting takes us from out of globals into the heap, accessing this dictionary. Then 2017 tells us, okay, go to the value stored key 2017, which is ID1. Just like ID0 took us to the dictionary, ID1 is going to take us to this list. And then at that list, we are now asked to grab index 2. And index 2 takes us from this list down to index 2, where we have this value stored. So this whole thing is replaced with, so we're printing out, now just a reminder, when we print out things in our output, we're aiming to print out things in the same manner that we would if we actually printed out in our terminal. So if you print out just a string by itself in the terminal, it's not going to have quotes around it, so we don't put quotes around it in output in our memory diagrams. Which might change a little bit when we move on to line 6. Let's see. Line 6 asks us to again go to the dictionary starting, right? So moving over to this dictionary, right? And then it asks us to access the value stored key 2023. Well, that takes us to this list. And like line 5, where we were asked to access a specific value by its index, we're just asked to access this whole list, right? We went from starting takes us to this dictionary. The, the value associated with 2023 takes us to this list, and we are asked to evaluate this whole list and print it. This whole thing just gets replaced with this entire list. We have to print it. Now, when we're printing lists and other objects in the heap, or excuse me, when we're printing objects such as lists and dictionaries in our output and they are populated with strings, we do put quotes around those strings. So we will we will print love vet. Great, almost done. Now on to line 7. Line 7 is creating, or it's modifying a value, right? We know it's modifying a value because we know that 2023 exists, and we know that index 2 in 2023 exists, right? 2023 takes us to this list. We're accessing index 2. And we have this assignment here, which lets us know, hey, whatever was there, we're going to instead put Johnson there. So again, don't necessarily need to even worry about that. Just follow it like a roadmap. So starting takes us to this dictionary. 2023 says, okay, look in the 2023 slot and access the value there, which is ID 2. It's like ID 0 took us to this dictionary. ID 2 is going to take us down to this list, and we're accessing the second index in this list. That's black, and we are reassigning to it the value, the string Johnson. So over here, cross this out. I'm just going to put Johnson. Great. And finally, line 8, we're asked to again print starting to 2023. So one more time, starting takes us to this dictionary. 2023 accesses this value, which takes us to this list. And we're asked to print out this list. Nice way to check to make sure we did on line 7 actually worked. Great. That's it. Uh, this memory diagram is just a basic example of creating dictionaries, modifying them, and also working with nested data structures. When I say nested data structures, we mean because this list is stored in this dictionary, and this list is stored in this dictionary. These data structures are nested inside of other data structures. Oh, hope this was helpful. As always, if this is confusing or you wanted to go over it because you just didn't quite get one thing I said, please take this to office hours or tutoring, and a TA would be happy to help you. Thanks. Have a good one.